Hello, welcome to Nordnet. Today we are joined by Georgiana Radulescu, Director Investor Relations at Tomra. Tomra was founded on an innovation for return of empty beverage containers more than 40 years ago. Today, Tomra has grown into a considerable global company, well positioned towards several megatrends. My name is Roger Berntsen. Before we move on, it's important to know that this session shall not be considered as investment advice. Our only goal is to learn more about Tomra, the company, and its underlying industry. So, Georgiana, you will now take us through a short presentation of Tomra. Thereafter, we'll wrap things up in a Q&A session.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Roger, and thank you for having us here today. So, as Roger mentioned, my name is Georgiana. I'm heading Investor Relations at Tomra, and I will give you a very short introduction into what Tomra is about. So let's start with something that we at Tomra are very proud of, and that is that we have pioneered innovation technology in what we call sensor-based technologies. So we have been doing this for 50 years. We have 50 years of experience in the sustainability business, and that is something we are very, very proud of. Today, we are a company of around 10 billion in revenues, listed on the Oslo Stock Exchange, and have around 4,500 employees as of last year. The way we are organized is in three business areas, or divisions, as we call them. The first one is collection, and this is about deposit systems and reverse vending machines. Those of you from Scandinavia are very familiar with these types of systems. They have been around for quite a long time. Then the next area of the business is called recycling mining. This is about sorters, equipment for sorting waste, sorting metals, sorting different types of mining ore. And Tomra Food, which is basically around the same type of technology, but used to ensure safe food quality and food safety. So basically looking at different types of crops and produce and sorting them and removing foreign objects. I will get back to what we do in the different divisions afterwards. So Tomra, as Roger mentioned, started in the 70s, 1972, with the reverse vending business, the machines that you are familiar with. Then in the 2000s, basically 2004, Tomra acquired T-Tech, which was also a Norwegian company, and that has developed a sensor-based method for separating different types of materials. So that was the start of Tomra in the recycling business. Then we acquired a few other companies. So basically the last acquisition in recycling was in 2008. And since then the business has grown organically. In 2011 we entered the food segment, acquiring a company headquartered in Ireland in 2011, and then one from Belgium in 2012. And then the last two acquisitions are also in the food business in 2016 and 2018 in New Zealand. So both New Zealand companies. Today, Tomra is made of 50% collection business, that is the reverse vending machines, the deposit markets. 17% is the recycling mining business, where mining is a fairly small operation, so it's 15% recycling and 2% mining approximately. And then 1/3 of the business is Tomra Food. And today we generate about 1.5 billion in earnings from these three divisions, which we are going to go a little bit in more detail in. So let's start with collection. As I mentioned, those of you living here in Scandinavia have seen these machines in the supermarkets. We also have them in parking lots, in recycling centers, in Australia, where we more or less operate the collection system. And on the bottom left corner, you see our latest innovation, which is this multi-feed machine, where consumers come with a full bag of containers and return them at once. It has been very, very well received get very, very good feedback from this machine, which has been launched in Scandinavia and more recently in Germany and in the Netherlands. Yes, here in Scandinavia we are used to deposit markets. They have been around since the 70s, since the 80s. But there are not so many of them. So outside of Scandinavia is basically Germany, Netherlands that has a deposit, a few states in the US, Canada, and more recently Australian states implementing a deposit system. So if we look at this from a population point of view, say out of the world population, it's around 4%, right? So just 4% of people that live in a country that has this type of system in place. But there is a lot of interest for these types of systems, and especially in Europe, is driven by what is called the European Union Single-Use Plastic Directive, which is an EU regulation, basically requiring all the member states to achieve 90% collection of their plastic bottles by 2029. And basically, the countries that have a deposit system today, they are already at 90%. That is one key element of deposit system. There are very, very high collection rates. So Norway is at some, I think, 33%, Germany 93%, sorry, I think I said 33. Yeah, 93%, Germany 98%, so really, really high collection rates. But the remaining countries have to find a way to achieve these rates going forward. So as a result, there are a number of them looking into deposit systems and how to achieve these targets. So we see some countries have decided to go ahead. Slovakia will implement the deposit January next year. We already have sales there. Latvia will start in February 2022. We have won the contract of being the machine provider for the Latvian system. In Scotland, they are planned for July 2022, might be a little bit delayed. It's under discussion. Other than that, other countries have made a decision. Romania has made a decision for deposit. Ireland, just a few weeks ago. Austria will implement the deposit 2024. So there are. It is on the agenda of governments, and then some countries have already made the decision by now. Other than Europe, we have Australia, where some of our most recent markets are coming from. There are basically two states left, Victoria and Tasmania, that don't have a deposit, and they are looking at implementation around 2023. So then Australia will be the first continent to have a deposit across all the states. And then in the US, there is also a discussion of upgrading existing deposit systems because they have been around since the 80s, and in some cases the deposit values have not been updated, so they are fairly low, 5 to 10 cents. So there are discussions also in the US about extending existing deposit systems. In this business, we have today a market share of 70%. So 7 out of 10 machines out there have the Tomra logo. And then we have today an installed base of around 80,000 machines worldwide. Let's move on to recycling. I mentioned in the beginning, so what we do here is basically that we provide sorter machines. These are illustrated here with the orange color. And basically, these machines can sort more or less anything. So solid waste, plastic, packaging, different types of plastics, metals, non-ferrous, e-scrap, paper, organics. So a number of applications. And the way it works is basically that you have a box with sensors in it, and this sensor, like the near-infrared sensor, what it does is that it shoots a beam of light into material, and then it gets a specific signature back. And then by having the algorithms and the software to interpret that signature, you can tell what material it is. And this is something that the human eye can typically not do. So you and I cannot distinguish between polypropylene or polyethylene or PET or polystyrene, but the machine can do that. And that is our core competence. We use sensors of different types, camera sensors, near-infrared, laser, XRT, the one that scans your suitcase at the airport. And we use that in real time. These things happen at very high speed. And make a separation decision, a sorting decision, binary typically, eject fraction and drop fraction. So this is what these machines are about. And here is an illustration of how they look, say, in real life. These are fairly large installations, and you can have somewhere between 5 and 30 sorters in one of these installations. This here is from Ivar in Stavanger in Norway, where they sort different types of plastics, and they also pelletize this plastic and sell it as recycled material. Moving on to food. So it's roughly the same technology that you can use to look at the outside of a fruit, at the inside of a fruit, to remove foreign objects like stones and bugs and shells, to remove defect material, and to grade. Say, if you are to grade apples, then you would have the best apples, and then the next best apples, and then something in the middle, and then something that goes perhaps to juice. So in that way, you make use of the whole spectrum of produce, and you make sure that it ends up in the right price and quality category. And then we sort potatoes, nuts, vegetables, apples, citrus, berries. In berries, for example, we have a market share of around 50%. So when you eat the berry from the supermarket, there's a 50% chance it has gone through a Tomra machine, and that is a little bit cool, we think. We are a market leader in this business. We have a market share of 25%. And we serve customers in the processed food industry. That would be, say, potatoes, French fries, nuts, cereal, and in the fresh produce industry, like the berries example that I mentioned. And we have a global presence, so quite a good coverage around the world. We have about 1,400 people working in this part of the business, and we have offices in Europe, US, Latin America, Australia, New Zealand, Asia as well. So quite a wide presence today. On the group level, we have been growing. We are a growing company steadily since the beginning. We have solid margins in the area between 40 to 45%. Good profitability between around 15%. It was 15.3%, our EBITDA margin. This is how we measure ourselves on the profitability side. And we also distribute between 40 and 60% of the earnings as dividends. So we are a company that pays out dividends rather consistently. Now, this was about where we are. If we look a little bit at where we are going, we have to talk about the plastic topic. And the fact of the matter is that there is very little plastic recycling being done today. So this picture here is from 2015, but is still highly relevant. And it shows that about 1/3 of the plastic packaging that is produced goes and leaks into the oceans, into nature, so it's basically thrown away. 40% is landfilled, some 15% goes into an incinerator, and only 15% is collected back in order to go into some form of recycling process. And then out of that, it's actually only 2% that goes into a high-quality recycling process, where it can be used for the same type of application. Say you take a shampoo bottle and then you make a new shampoo bottle out of it. So it's very little. And at Tomra, we have an ambition to improve the amount of plastic that is collected, and also to enable that plastic that is collected is recycled to a high quality. Because this, you could say, this addresses the two topics within plastic recycling. We need to do more collection, and we need to do high quality recycling to make this work. And we have founded a division called the Circular Economy Division back in 2019 that is addressing exactly this topic. How can we expand this market? How can we do more recycling? And together with Eunomia, which is a consultancy, environmental consultancy, we have commissioned them to make a study, say, if we are to implement the best practices around the world on waste management in collection, what would be the effect of that? And they have calculated that if one is to do that, the existing practices that we know, because we are in all these different countries, so we see what works in different parts of the world. So if these are to be rolled out on a global scale, we could save carbon emissions by 2.8 billion tons a year. Probably that number doesn't tell you much, but what it means, it's you can say it's roughly similar to how much the emission reductions have gone down during the COVID pandemic. So it's some 5 to 6% of the annual emissions. So it's quite a sizable amount, and that is only by rolling out waste management practices today. Of course, it is a challenging thing to do. It is complicated, but just as a benchmark of what can be achieved by doing this. And in that process, we have also looked like, okay, how to do this? What does it take to get there? And of course, it's always a combination of things that works. So deposit systems play a role. Separate collection systems, such as having a separate bin for textiles or for paper, for example, that is also an important part. And we also need to address what we call mixed waste sorting, because a lot of the plastic ends up in mixed waste, household waste, and it is possible to collect it from there with sorting machines. So just to show two highlights from this way of thinking. Why are deposit systems so important here? Well, deposit systems have two big advantages. One is that it is very high collection rates. So 90% of the bottles, as mentioned in the beginning, 93% in Norway, 98% in Germany, they make it back into a recycling process. And number two, this is clean, non-contaminated material, which can then be used, recycled to high quality and used for food grade applications. So this picture here is a little bit counterintuitive, but basically the idea is like this. If we think in an ideal world where we take one plastic bottle and then that plastic bottle comes back into a recycling process and we make 100% new bottle from it, then you could do this indefinitely, right? Now, in real life, there are two challenges with this. First, not all the bottles come back, and then second, there is a material loss, a certain loss of material in this process. So the more you manage to minimize those two elements, the more you can use the resources in a better way. So here where deposit systems comes into play, because 90% of the bottles come back, and if we do the calculation with recycling cycles and assuming a certain material loss in the process, you can actually, from those 100 original bottles, you can make 200 new by repeating these cycles, taking into account this collection and material loss. Whereas if you have a system without deposit, it's only some 50 of those bottles that you can recover and actually put in a recycling process. And that affects this call it resource productivity. So from 100 bottles, you make a lot less. So just 60 bottles. So that's why we also advocate for deposit systems as being a really good way and efficient way of taking back plastic of high quality and food grade quality. And the other challenge I mentioned with plastic, so one was collection, the second was high quality recycling. And to do high quality recycling, you need to have a solid sorting process and washing. So together with our partners here, Borealis, which is a polyolefin plastic producer, and Zimmermann, which is a local smaller waste management company close to our offices in Germany, we have put up a demo plant. So it's really a demo plant producing some 10,000 tons per year. But there we have put the best of sorting equipment, and we have also worked with washing machine suppliers to have a sorting and washing process. And when you run post-consumer material through this process, which is set up in the right way, you can actually get very, very high material purities, 98, 99%, virgin-like, really, really good quality material that you then just basically melt, you add some more substances, and you make new material out of it. So we have done this project in order to showcase, look, with the technology we have today, with the right process and the investment, one can go from post-consumer waste to really, really high-quality recycling, because this is what the market wants. The market wants high-quality material in order to use it in consumer-based applications. With that, I will conclude that I mentioned we have been growing in the past, and we have an ambition to grow in the future. We see there is a lot to be done, and then we envision ourselves in the circular economy space and the food productivity space. We aim to do that profitably, so we have an EBITDA target long-term of 18%. And the remaining targets, I will not go into the detail. We have a dividend payout target of 40 to 60% and maintaining an investment grade profile. With that, I will stop here, and Roger, we can go to the Q&A section.
Yeah, very good, Georgiana. So we just go straight into the Q&A session. I'd like to start with the transformation journey, where we're from 72 till today. Tomra has transformed itself at a remarkable pace, especially the last 20 years or so. So going from one valuable business proposition to three today, from collection to sorting to foods. So my question is, how has this been possible? I guess it has to do with management determination to expand existing business, and of course an effective R&D division, and some quality M&A activities as well. Can you elaborate?
Yes. So as you mentioned, we started with our collection business, and then in 2004 we acquired T-Tech, which has developed this recycling, sensor-based application that is used in waste management. So at that time, Tomra was looking to build a second leg. So that was the rationale of buying T-Tech, and because when you look for a second leg, it's natural to look across the value chain. So recycling, waste management was a natural area to look into it. And it was kind of like a coincidence that we found this company also in Norway. In fact, Tomra was looking more or less all over. And the timing of that acquisition was beautiful, because it was at that time that the environmental legislation started to come in place, attention to landfills, landfill directive, electronic waste directives, end-of-life vehicle directive. So all these legislative moves, and Germany at that time was at the forefront of this type of legislation. So it was really beautiful timing to enter this business, and you could say we entered the recycling industry when the recycling industry more or less started. So we have a really long experience in this business. And then with time, we also saw, sensor-based applications are also used in food processing. And there is a value proposition there in the sense of automating, right, replacing labor, but it's also about ensuring the quality of the produce and the food safety of the produce. This is something that's very important for the brand owners. But in the same time, we understood that to enter this business, you really need deep knowledge about those lemons, about those potatoes, about what you are sorting. So it would make a lot of sense to enter this market by acquiring a company that had this knowledge and competence. So that's how the two companies, Udenberg and Best, came on board. And then in 2017, we acquired Compac in New Zealand. They are in the fresh food, larger fruit processing, and then BBC in 2018. And you can say what we saw, for example, with BBC, which is basically 3 generations of blueberry experts that have developed their own machines, and they were at the stage where, in order to grow and become more global, they needed a stronger partner. But it really has, made an impact in the sense that it is a different story to have someone that is talking blueberry language to your customers than having someone with a catalog and saying, we have some machines, what are you growing here? So really having that deep knowledge was one key element in this market. But if you look across these acquisitions, we could have gone in many areas, but one key element is that we stayed true to the core. We remained a technology company throughout this journey, and that is a very important part of Tomra, to be a technology company. And that will also be a key area, a key focus area going forward.
Yeah. So from going from 1 to 3 profitable business areas, what's the possibility for Tomra to double or triple the number of business areas in the future?
Well, for the time being, we see really good organic opportunities in the business areas where we are today. In collection, there is a lot happening with regard to new deposit markets opening up, so that provides growth opportunities. Then in recycling, it is the whole circular economy topic that many companies are looking into. Plastic producers are looking into it. Waste management is looking into it. And it is a very, very relevant topic today. And then in food, you can think of it in the sense that labor is only getting more expensive, more difficult to find. Food safety is important. Brand owners gain more presence. So we see a lot of opportunities in our current, call them business areas. But of course, we are always looking for additional, what we call verticals. For example, sorting of pet food. The machines can actually detect a toxin that can hurt the animal if it is formed on the food. So that's an area we are looking into. So you have these kind of examples of additional verticals that could provide opportunities.
Yeah, of course. But as of today, there's lots of untapped potential in the
existing businesses. Yeah.
Okay, so let's focus on the 3 business areas. You started with the collection business, as you said, in '72, which is still expanding nicely. However, both food and recycling and mining business expand more, I guess. Can you give us some underlying growth trajectories for the various business areas, and what are your ambitions going forward?
Yes. So we have, I say, a midterm target on the revenue growth of 10%. And that, just to make it clear, that is our ambition. So it's not guiding with regard to future growth. So it's just ambition that we have set for ourselves. And because more or less we would expect all the divisions to approach that figure. But they have some different growth patterns and drivers. So in collection, it's about new markets opening up, and you could say growth in that sense would be more lumpy. So when a market opens up, then you have an installation race, and typically it takes about 1 year from the go live until a market is at some 90% plus return rate. So within that year, you basically set up the infrastructure. So that is providing growth opportunities in collection. In recycling, we would expect the market to grow in the area of 10 to 12%. And that is driven by, let's say, a push coming from legislation, especially in Europe, but also a lot of demand from the brand owners for recycled material. And then in the food business, you can think of it in the sense of food production growing kind of with GDP, with population, so 1 to 2%. And then we believe that on top of that, there is an automation value proposition that would add some percentages. So we are looking at food perhaps somewhere in the area of 6 to 8% of growth rate going forward. So as mentioned, we see all divisions, they have good prospects.
let's talk a little about the competitive landscape and your current market positions. So, are there many competitors out there, both in collection, recycling, and mining and food?
We are today kind of like a big fish in a small pond. So in collection, we have a market share of 70%. Our competitors are private companies, smaller than us. But we do see positioning in all the new markets. So when a new market opens up, of course there will be a fight, and of course we will see competitive pressure. In recycling, we have a market share of around 55%, so quite a sizable position there as well. And we have some 3 to 4 main competitors, also private companies there, and as well smaller than us. And then in food is perhaps a more fragmented picture. There are a number of companies, small and big, doing food sorting, doing other things. And there we have some 25% market share in the food sorting part of the business. So the reason why I'm talking about each division in itself is because we don't really have a peer company. So there is no other company doing what we are doing. Collection, recycling, and food, and not even collection and recycling. So that's why we talk about competitors in these different areas.
I see, but as of today, you are in pole position, more or less.
Yes, we have a robust position.
My next topics is related to relation, and this is an important part of doing business for every company. And this touches your sustainability strategy. You want to commit to operate. You say you want to commit to operate with integrity and fairness, to be an employer of choice, and as well a trusted business partner. Inspiring sustainability in all relations. Also, personally, I think this is what really matters in the end. So, can you say why is it so important for you maintaining good, both external and internal relationships?
It is, as you say, it is an extremely important topic, and you could say this has been at the core of Tomra. We have been in the sustainability business for 50 years. We are not the ones that jumped on the train recently. This is the core of what Tomra is about, right? So relationships are very important, because if we talk first about external relationships, right, with our customers, when they buy a machine from us, that machine is going to be there for some 10, 15 years. So they are not just buying a machine, they are entering automatically a partnership with us. And you need to trust your partner, and you need to act with integrity and in a sustainable way towards your partners. So that has been one of the core competences of Tomra, that is, in these long-term relationships, we make sure that the customers are happy, that they enter a partnership with us. They are not just buying a machine and we do service on it afterwards. We are partners in this. We need to make this work, and it's a fairly long-term relationship. Now, talking about the other part that is equally important, internal relationships, right? Employees, and we believe there is going to be, and probably there is already, a war for talent. Getting skilled, engaged people into the organization, it's going to be a challenge, and we believe Tomra is really having an advantage here, in the sense of people people spend a lot of their time working, right? So they want to do something purposeful with that time, and working for a purpose-driven company with good culture and where there is a lot of engagement, and one gets the chance to, be part of this journey, be part of this impact that Tomra is making. That is quite a big competitive advantage compared to others, and it's also not so easy to replicate, right? Having a good culture where people feel ownership, where people feel purpose. So we are investing in that part as well, to attract talent and to make sure that people feel engaged, motivated, taken care of at Tomra. So two very important parts of what we do. Yeah.
So I also like to talk a little bit China. The Chinese economy has grown enormously especially the last 3 decades, to become the second largest in the world. So, Tomra, what's your presence in China today? That's my first question, and what are the prospects like for you?
Yes. So you could say, as you say, China has grown tremendously. Basically, anything you can say, China is the biggest producer of ... and you can put more or less anything there, and you will have the right answer. We have today some 300 people in China. We have a representation in our collection division, recycling, food, as well as sourcing, and a small R&D department as well. However, compared to the size of the country, the presence is rather limited. And this is also because the maturity of the markets in China and say Asia in general is not as it is in the West as per today. In collection, for example, there is a lot of manual collection, picking of hard plastics. That is happening today. Europe has more of a tradition of deposit systems, but it will be a topic in the future. So it will be interesting to follow and see how they're planning to solve it. Then in recycling, the challenge is of having this formal collection infrastructure and having a larger amount of waste collected in one place. Because when you do that, it makes a lot of sense to automate. So we have a footprint today within recycling for the sorting that is being done there. And then on the food part is a lot of processing is still done manually. The farms are rather small. I believe I have seen a statistic where you have, say, the average farm in the US is some 10,000 hectares. The same in China is about 1 hectare. Europe is somewhere in between, 4,000 or 5,000 hectares. So there is a consolidation and a professionalization of the farming industry that needs to happen there over time. So in short, we are present. We have operations there. And we have an organization there across all the 3 business areas. But the market still needs to develop.
Yeah. So I have a couple of topics left. The second to last is about your visions. So your vision is, Tomra's vision is leading the resource revolution. That means helping manage our planet's precious resources, both today and of course tomorrow. Can you please take us a little bit deeper into your visions? I guess it's bold visions, and I think you have to redefine value creation to succeed. So is it possible?
We believe it's possible, and you could say. We have a lot of expertise in this topic. So what is happening today, as I mentioned with the plastics, is that we dig up the oil, make virgin plastic, and then there's a linear path. You make it, you throw it. But that path doesn't have to be linear, it can be circular. And we have 50 years of experience with the systems in order to get that done, with the technologies in order to get that done. But of course, it's not only about Tomra. Is about collaboration across the value chain, is about legislation push, is about commitment from the brand owners, is about pressure from the consumers. So there are more parties involved in this. But we have decided to take an active role in developing this going forward. And yes, we are not that big in the big picture, but we are the ones that know the most about recycling and collection, these markets that today are very relevant. So what we see lately is that the data is getting better at this. Consultancies, foundations are bringing in commitments from brands. including recycled contents. They are measuring the progress and so on and so forth. And Tomra is also partnering up with such organizations. But in addition, we also have an execution arm, right? So the example I gave in the presentation, which is about this demo recycling plant that we have put up together with our partners. This is a type of example where we come in with say, our execution abilities, our know-how about the processes, and say, look, this is possible. So if you have a process that starts from here and you have the things set up so and so, then you can achieve high-quality recycled plastic that can be used in new applications. So it's not something that Tomra will achieve alone. But we also have a history of working together with partners, and we have a know-how and a position that is quite unique today in this space. There is nobody else really out there when talking about collection and recycling technologies and systems that have the level of experience and the know-how and solutions that we have. So we are planning to use that to make an impact going forward.
So Georgiana, some concluding remarks. Can you sum it all up in a short sentence? So what makes Tomra unique, would you say?
Well, we are, say, purpose-driven technology company in a very relevant area with rather, say, complex problems that the world is facing and that need to be solved going forward. And one element that makes Tomra unique is to also really have this nice culture. People really like to work at Tomra. They are engaged. They have a strong sense of ownership. That is very hard to copy. So you could say technology, purpose-driven company with a good culture and very engaged people that want to be part of this journey going forward, making an impact. That is quite unique and quite hard to copy as well.
Yeah, and Tomra is more than only collection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, quite a wide range and a global company as well. And
to investors, what can they expect in the short term? Being an owner of Tomra.
Yes. So we. There are a number of things happening for the time being in circular economy, in deposit markets. So that is one part, and we are also planning for a capital markets day in the first half year next year, where we will give an update on the strategy, talk about our sustainability ambitions going forward. We also have a new CEO. She started in August this year, so she will also come with her reflections on the future of Tomra and how she sees the company going forward. But I'm not going to say too much, so it will be an event next year where we will come with an update.
So the Capital Markets Day in a half year's time.
Yes.
Okay, Georgiana, thank you for your time and your insights. That's the most important thing. And we will keep in touch. And to everybody else, goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.